Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Available Work podcast that we're educating employers, members of the public on our fabulous and wonderful workforce system that we have here in the state of Texas. I'm very excited. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's deal cards. And to my left, I'm grateful you guys are here. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So Kelsey Erickson-Streufert. I'm the Chief Public Affairs Officer of the Texas Restaurant Association and one of the founders of the Employers for Childcare Task Force, or E4C.
That's right. We're talking about childcare, everybody. We're talking about childcare quite a bit, and we have been for a long time, and that's why I'm excited that you and Kelsey and Wendy to your left. Please introduce yourself. Tell us what you do, what's your favorite color.
Sure thing. Thanks for having us today.
Yeah.
Wendy Uptain. I'm the Executive Director for Early Matters Texas. We are an early childhood coalition of business leaders, providers, ISDs, nonprofit leaders across the state that come together and think about how to improve childcare and early education for 0 to 8. Childcare is included in that. Favorite color today is green. I asked my 4-year-old that. What's your favorite color today?
What's your favorite color today? Yeah,
I'm going to go with green.
It's a good mood. Yeah, green's a nice, refreshing color. And as always, Katie's up here and making sure that we're on time and on budget with programs. So thanks, Katie, for jumping in on this one.
Of course, always happy to help.
Guys, you guys are a part of a wonderful and very smart task force. The initiative is to understand and help provide as a resource, and we're right in the thick of it. The 89th legislative session is pretty much ongoing right now. 125 days left in the regular session, and that
why you got to be counting down like that?
Definitely ticking down. It's fun. But like I said, we're recording. What is today? We're on the 28th.
Yep.
So this will, just kind of a time marker again. We have the governor's state of the state coming up on Sunday, and so that's when he's going to issue, his emergency call. That's going to give structure to the legislative session, and just kind of reading the tea leaves going back a year. Immediately, whenever I joined at the Workforce Commission in November of last year, 2 years ago,
Last year.
Yeah.
November 7th, 2023.
Time flies when you're having
2023, yeah. So it's been a year and a couple of months that I've been here. I immediately needed to get spun up and have a quick understanding of what the childcare in the state of Texas, and I immediately turned to you guys. And this was y'all were probably one of my first introductions.
I think that's right.
to there. So thank y'all for that. But could we talk a little bit about what the task force has been up to and kind of where we're going with them?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for taking that early meeting. Maybe you just didn't know better back then.
Yeah.
To turn us down. But no, the Employers for Childcare Task Force, or E4C, it wouldn't be a government effort if you didn't have an acronym, right?
Sure.
But E4C was really born of this idea that childcare is becoming a major obstacle for our workforce. And we're hearing from employers every day, large and small, all across the state, that they can't find enough employees to really meet the demand of a growing state like Texas. And then once they find great employees, they end up losing them, or they have to cut back their hours because they either can't find or can't afford quality childcare. And so we knew this was a problem that employers were facing, but they didn't really have an organized voice on the issue, and they hadn't really brought ideas to the table to address it. And so Wendy and I were kind of complaining about that, and eventually it was one of those rather than complain, if you want to improve the situation, maybe you need to do something about it. And so we got together with Texas Association of Business and Texas 2036, really at the very end of 2023, so about when you were coming on board at TWC. And we said, let's spend this whole year of 2024 before the legislature's in session, and let's study this problem. Let's look at what other states have done. Let's look at what the agency's done. And let's come up with what are the policies that we think make sense from a private employment, pro-business kind of perspective that Texas usually leads on. And let's come up with some of those ideas and bring them to the legislature and make sure they know businesses care about this issue. Employers want to invest in this issue, but they need some help and they need some guidance.
And Wendy, Early Matters, what type of groups or organizations have you been kind of interfacing with?
Yeah, so I've been, I guess it's been about, year and a half now, we've done a few business leader events across
good.
the state and actually done CEO to CEO, partnering with chambers and actually listening to business leaders and saying, is childcare an issue for you? And we're hearing a resounding yes.
Yeah.
So maybe the listeners here are feeling the same way where yes, this is sort of an issue that's risen to the top for employers. I would say it's really like kind of come with the COVID wave, if you will, because people got used to working from home or trying to just that work-life balance. That work-life balance has continued to just be top of mind for employees. And so to stay competitive, the HR businesses have had to say, well, what can we do to encourage people to come work for us and stay with us? So thinking about sort of childcare as a benefit, especially if you've got, especially if you have young kids or even school-age kids, 2:30, 3 o'clock rolls around and you still have to be able to figure out care for them.
Yeah.
Your workday doesn't end at my day doesn't work at 2:30 or 3, unfortunately, as much as I wish it did. So we keep hearing that just, whether we're out in Midland, Odessa, whether we're up in Amarillo, here in Austin, get that sort of similar conversation from leaders across the state.
Yeah, you're right. It's almost the first or second question when it comes to employers that are expanding, that are working with the Texas Workforce Commission on training grants and where, it's always working. Where's our workforce coming from, and where can we send our children while we're working? It's a huge hit all across the state of what takes a large percentage of the working population out of the game until they can get set up and until they can find childcare for their families and continue to work. So that's definitely a huge support, and hats off to you for taking on the charge and good timing that y'all have kind of taken the win before the legislature really addresses the situation.
We're hopeful, and it's been encouraging to see some of the bipartisanship around this issue.
You're right.
I think for the first time we had an interim charge on this topic in both the House and the Senate, led by Republicans. We've had Democrats take the charge on certain bills. So I think we're having this moment where, to Wendy's point, COVID really exposed a shortcoming, a challenge, and even the legislators are hearing it from their own staff, their own family members, their constituents. This is a major barrier to workforce. We actually, nationally, we know 60% of non-working parents say childcare is a top reason they're not in the workforce. So if we think about not just competing for that existing pool of employees, but how do we grow that pool of employees, this is one of those issues that could make a huge difference.
That's amazing. A lot of creative solutions, meeting with employers across the state. A lot of these creative solutions are being put in. There's a lot of employers that are using kind of a coalition or a cooperative type of deal with other businesses to bring more availability to those areas that they're setting foot. Have y'all seen any of those types of creative solutions to the childcare question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got businesses who are willing and looking at on-site childcare, so willing to provide space for a provider to come in and offer services for folks who work there and or the community. The first example that comes to mind is here in Austin with Texas Mutual. Jeanette Ward is a wonderful CEO and leader in this space, and had a provider come to her and say, we would love to have space. Great. They set it up in their new build. A little bit later, the provider said, hey, we'd love more space because we have a lot of people who want to be joining the program and there's a wait list. And Jeanette, who had become more familiar with how the child care subsidy works here in the state and just I think becoming more aware of child care issue and this sort of system that we have here, said, sure, I'll give you more space for free if you start receiving children with child care subsidy. And so they have since expanded their offerings and to be able to meet, join the TRS, and they're TRS rated now, and they're meeting all the requirements to receive those types of families. So I think that's a really good example of an employer who has been proactive, not just for their own employees, but thinking about how does this tie into the bigger system? How can we also provide childcare for the community in which our building is based.
Yeah.
But we also have, business leaders who are thinking about near site. Okay, so what's going on around me? Oh, I'm in a desert. I'm a childcare desert. There are no childcare centers near our complex. What should we do about that? Maybe I should survey my employees and see what they need. So sort of exploring, I think, first with your employees, what do they actually need? Because not all of your employees are going to need help with childcare. Figuring out what sort of solutions work best for them on site isn't always the best or sort of most desired. Maybe partnering, like I said, with a provider who's maybe close by, or figuring out if there's a gap there and sort of incentivizing a provider to step in. But then there are lots of other sort of benefits that employers can offer too. And one thing that I was reminded of, I'd forgotten about this until recently, but BCG had come out actually with a report where they started looking at the ROI for employers who were thinking about childcare as a benefit.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of a astronomical figure, but it's upwards of 400% ROI that was tangible, that some of the companies had actually tracked by providing a childcare benefit. Again, whether on site, near site, some sort of
access.
Yeah, exactly. Some sort of support, or just even thinking about that. Just the amount of money that they were able to save, due to staff turnover and training, and that was like the actual cash ROI, not to mention the just sort of emotional happiness I think that you get for knowing that your boss values you.
Yeah, just a good employer, like a genuine good employer. And you mentioned TRS, so that's Texas Rising Star, is type of the program that we run out here at the Workforce Commission that is basically mandates to child care providers that they reach a certain level of quality, and then there's rated like 1-star, 2-star, 3-star levels, and I don't want to get too much in the details of that, where you're going to be fact checking the daylights out of it.
2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, there you go, 2, 3, and 4.
Thanks for calling out the bureaucracy that I swipe that out.
Why would you start with 1 star when you can jump to 2?
But thanks. Glad you brought that up. That's huge, and again, it just elevates or highlights the fact that it's good for business. I mean, obviously, that's a no-brainer. It's good for business. Kelsey, going back to like the COVID era, our restaurants got hit. As obviously we were all there. We know, not trying to have any flashbacks, but definitely the Restaurant Association got hit really hard when it came to COVID, and just the distancing, and whether or not restaurants have they recovered from that. We talk about how the state and everything is recovering. Things are definitely changes, but
it's complicated. Is the answer I'd give to that.
It is complicated.
No, so the restaurant industry, it surprises people. We're actually Texas's largest private sector employer at this point.
Yeah.
Over 1.4 million employees across the state. But most restaurants are small business, 50 or fewer employees.
Yeah.
And so when COVID hit, we lost almost half our workforce pretty much overnight, right? Within about a week's time period. Bless the employees at the TWC, because I think we were calling daily with just helping people get their unemployment checks figured out and all of that chaos.
You knew some first names over here, huh?
Yes, and just talk about saints and people with so much patience over here. But, so in Texas, we got back open pretty quickly. We pioneered what we call the Texas Restaurant Promise, which the governor used in his reopening protocols. So we really found that way to sort of protect public health and also get our economy moving again. So we were blessed that we refilled those jobs pretty quickly in Texas. The challenge is we're growing. It's our challenge and our opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Texas is just growing so fast all the time. And so there's so many mouths to feed. And so we're always behind the 8 ball when it comes to hiring and retention. And that's one of the reasons we really turned to this issue, because we saw the opportunity to grow the workforce, especially our frontline workforce tends to be majority female. And then you see that those numbers decline as we look at management and executive roles, right? Not unique to our industry, unfortunately, but something we see. And so plus we have all these factors that make childcare especially difficult, right? We're not 9 to 5. It's hard to work from home for most positions.
Yeah. Not traditional hours, right?
Not
Yeah.
traditional hours. Yeah, it's really hard to find childcare for an evening dinner shift or
Yeah.
a Saturday shift, which is when you can make the most money in restaurants.
A lot
right?
of good and well-established restaurants have been 24 hours in the past,
Yeah.
and are trying to get back to
That's
that.
right. That's right. So it's one of those that COVID really exposed a challenge, and we are really running with how do we not just use the same old playbook? How do we come up with new solutions, new ideas to not only attract and keep talent, but to Wendy's point, to be an industry that people look to as I want to work there because my employer cares about me and sees me as a whole person,
Right.
not just a robot doing this job.
Yeah. And the return to work, what's happening in the nation here in the state, especially, is just that. It's you're still given the flexibility. You're provided the opportunity to come back and be collaborative, but at having that added benefit that your children are being cared for close to where you work, so that you're not traveling all the way across town to make a pickup and delivery every morning and after work. That's a huge part of it.
Not to mention, this is the workforce of tomorrow,
That's
right?
right, yeah.
If we don't have quality, you mentioned Texas Rising Star. If we don't have quality childcare, then we know kids are going into the education system behind, and we have all the data in the world about what that means for their eventual success in the job market, and frankly, the money that we're going to spend as a state to get them caught up later on, right? And so, if we can not only address this issue for our current workforce, but so that we have a strong workforce of tomorrow, Texas is really going to be in a strong position, I think, moving forward.
Well, that's great. Where's one of the if you guys were able to plant a flag on the best thing that y'all could have come out with in the next legislative session, what does that look like when it comes down to it?
There are lots of ways I think we could have a win this session, which is exciting. For me, if we could have the legislature pass one bill, create one new funding scheme, something that would give employers more opportunities, more resources to have some skin in the game of childcare, that would be a huge win. Because when you look at the economics of childcare, right now it's basically all borne by the family and the provider.
Yeah.
And it's too expensive for them to bear on their own, right, in most instances. And so that's why you're seeing high tuition rates. You're seeing, providers that want to expand but can't because they can't hire enough teachers. So if we could get the employer to be part of that financial equation, not through mandates and things like that, but through incentives, tax credits, opportunities, that to me changes the game. That's what we build on for a sustainable future.
So we're educating employers on the benefits of providing this as some kind of service, and we're not talking about it being just a flat out benefit, but some kind of access to make childcare more affordable. Is that that's
Exactly?
kind of what we're
Yeah,
looking at?
and Wendy's
That's the big strategy, right?
I would echo that. I mean, probably took the words out of my mouth, and that's why
You can say it again.
I mean, that's why Kelsey and I are partnered on all of this, right? Is that
Yeah.
we feel like there is such an opportunity for the state to sort of jump in. I mean, what we've heard from businesses is we are doing the most we can, and it's still not really solving the problem, quote unquote.
Sure.
And there's still plenty of families that need access to childcare, and so it's going to take multiple people, right? Like families primarily bear the burden and the cost of childcare, and it's astronomical, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they say it's about $10,000 a year. It's more than that for the subsidy program per kid, and it's I pay more than that
I was gonna say,
personally.
that's average, right?
Yeah,
It's like
it's an
they're calling
average.
it college tuition, like
It is.
right out of the gate.
It's
right?
it's more than in-state tuition.
Yeah.
It's more than some people's mortgage payments, and it's just. And actually, the feds have started issuing and saying you shouldn't pay more than 7% of your income for childcare. Well, if
That sounds great.
yeah, if you did that would be like, okay, well, at a minimum, you're saying people need to be making about $142,000 a family to be able to have that truly be 7% of for one kid.
Yeah.
So you're so the cost is really high. So
Sure.
so families have been primarily holding that burden, which some might argue you had children, that was your choice.
Yeah.
But to say, well, the employers are starting to feel it now because they're losing their employees because the cost is so expensive. It would be better to have one family member, one parent stay home. And so employers are starting to step up and sort of saying, okay, well, we'll take on some onerous here. But I think even, philanthropy is trying to get involved and think about ways to innovate and be, supportive of this. But even with all of these different, bodies being part of this, the government is such a big equation of this. Now, we don't think that they own the onerous here, but I think if there can be some of that sort of shared thinking and sort of how can we incentivize employers to do more? How can we relieve some of the burden for families? When you start to share that, I think you start to see some magic.
Yeah, and one of the pinnacle forces that the Workforce Commission is challenged with is to continue to fill the different pipelines to keep more people in the job hunt or into the workforce. Childcare definitely takes a large percentage out, as we kind of talked about earlier. 60% is what we're looking at. That probably makes it the largest hindrance on folks that are out of the workforce development with it when it comes down to it. And we're tasked with finding and supporting initiatives like the task force you guys are working with right now. I've really appreciated a lot of the employers that are telling me what's going on in their regions, and a lot of different takes, like I said, those creative solutions to how they run their childcare providers, the coalitions that provide. I know, like Project One Day. We talked about Project One Day in Houston that uses a model of volunteering their time on one day to get 4 days out of the week, and stuff like that is part of the out of the box thinking that Texans are known for, that we've capitalized on, that we're going to be able to see this. Let's talk about the information that employers and childcare enthusiasts can reach out to. Obviously, the Restaurant Association, Early Matters. Anything else as far as information that we can push out to our listeners here today?
Well, one, if you're a business leader, if you're a business operator, Chamber of Commerce, anything like that, join us.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, it's free to join. You just have to be a business entity that's not primarily in the business of childcare.
Oh yeah.
So www.txrestaurant.org/E4C will take you straight to our page with our blueprint, our agenda, the sign up, data, everything you could need. So check us out there and follow along. We're going to need lots of different voices telling the legislature this matters, this needs to be a priority.
I might also plug some of our partners.
Yeah, please do. Definitely the partnerships.
Best Place for Working Parents is a great resource for employers. If you go to their website, you can take a quick assessment that tells you how family-friendly you are. Childcare being a part of many different research-backed categories that they look at, but then your business gets a cute little badge to say that you are family friendly and you're best place for people to work. So they've been a great partner, and also have some great resources on break it down by childcare. Great resources on examples that other companies across Texas have done. They started here in Texas, and now they're national and in some other states as well. But what's great is they kind of have little regional operations for businesses to learn and get together to talk about just learnings that they're having around how do you create that culture that makes your employees want to stay.
That's awesome. And I guess for more information about the Texas Rising Star, if you're a child care provider, you contact us at Texas Workforce Commission. We've got a division for child care that does great work in diffusing that information out to all of our partnerships. Definitely want to thank all of our workforce solutions groups out in different parts of the region.
Yes.
They are by far have been one of the biggest cheerleaders on change with the workforce in their, because they're local. They know what their regions need. Panhandle, Houston, South Texas, El Paso, and all the work that they're doing. They're going to continue to work with us and getting this information out. Ladies.
Just amen to that. We
Thank
love our workforce partners.
Ladies, thank y'all so much for coming on. Again, huge fan of Texas restaurants, huge fan of Texas businesses. Obviously, now I get to do it as a job, to be a huge fan of our employers. So we appreciate all your members doing what they're doing to get out there.
Thank you for your leadership.
Parting shots. Yeah.
Thank you for your leadership. I think we love the structure of TWC and the fact that there is a commissioner who's dedicated to what do employers need to thrive. I think that's a really smart model. That Texas
listen
has
to the
adopted.
employers, listen to the industry.
Yes.
Hey, we need this. Okay,
Right.
let's figure out that.
And we love that
agree.
childcare is tied into that, right?
Oh, of course,
because it
yeah.
just keeps the focus on this is a workforce issue. Yes,
impacts
it's
us
a family
all,
issue,
sure.
but it's a workforce issue.
I feel like with that restaurant shout out, we need to do like a round robin. Like, okay, favorite Texas restaurant
I
right
can't
now.
answer that question.
Oh, yeah, no,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm forbidden.
we that's pretty.
Especially plugging it
That's pretty
publicly.
great. Yeah, no kidding. I like pretty much a lot of restaurants. Yeah, definitely big.
Maybe you can
Big fan.
incorporate that into future podcast
That's
episodes
right.
when Kelsey's
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Oh, we can do a tour.
New
We'll
icebreaker.
We'll take the road show on the out there into the state and talk to our restaurant employers. But again, they have been the biggest a lot of biggest proponent on this is the reality of non-traditional hours
Yep.
and the need for non-traditional hours. We had a couple of steps that we took here at the commission level to survey and to find out exactly where can we put money to help pilot programs that have great ideas to support non-traditional, all the way from like the different coalitions of restaurants and some in different in regions to some of our workforce solutions groups. We're talking about good plans on how to actually provide service, like in-home service when it comes down to this. It's almost like babysitters club
Yeah.
stuff. Which,
Yeah, you think about restaurants, but it's also first responders, hospitals.
Yeah,
it's
you're right.
some of our most important
non-traditional.
critical workforce that needs the support. So
Thank you for bringing that up. I
it's
failed
all
to
for the
mention
first
that.
responders.
We appreciate that too. So, but like for the rest of the 125 days, you guys you're pretty busy. I know you guys are very busy. And Kelsey, you've got you've got skin in the game when it comes to
Yeah,
childcare.
I have the baby very nearly on
Yeah.
the way.
So
By the time
yeah.
this is published, the baby might be here.
We may be
but,
introducing a new guest during the time of this.
I
this
promise
recording,
I
so.
was invested in this cause before I was pregnant, for the
That's
record.
right. That's true. Didn't mean to out you, but we're excited. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You're definitely glowing. Wendy, thank you so much again for coming over here. We will continue to work together on this. Please let me and our team here at the Workforce Commission know if there's anything that we can do to help you guys out and support the task force. So what do we got? What else? Anything you want to throw in there?
I think that was great.
Katie,
That
thank
wraps
you.
us up.
Thanks for being here too, Katie.
Of course.
Okay, everybody, thank y'all for joining. Again, another week of available work. Look us up on currently Spotify, some YouTube, exclusively on Spotify, I think we can say. There's not saying we have like a deal with them or anything. We're just you
No,
can
but
only find-
exclusive,
Yeah, that's what I'm
it
saying.
means
Sounds
like
fancy.
fancy.
We're exclusively on Spotify.
Limited
so.
edition.
That's right. Tell your friends, listen up, and do the like and subscribe stuff and review. 4 stars. Okay. Thank you guys again. We'll cut this one short and let's go.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.